you.
So hopefully this will be my easiest presentation yet, because it's my expert topic, it's me. I hopefully can't get that wrong. So I've called it Uncertainty to Leadership because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no idea that I'd end up as a CISO, so this is a real journey for me. This is my last professional slide, so absorb it, take it in, it's inspirational. I've never done mountain climbing. But really, I hear lots of questions around how do you get to CISO? And my answer to those is, why do you want to be a CISO? Pick any topic, pick any subject, any area of security. Bit too early, spoilers. And the answer has got to be, what's in it for you? What's your passion? So I'm going to take you right the way back to when I was at school. And this will be news to some of the people in the audience who do know me. But hopefully it will be insightful, and hopefully it will give you an idea of where I came from and how I got here. So the early years. From the very first memory that I had of wanting to do something when I grew up, I wanted to be an astronaut. Who didn't? I might give away some of my age here. When I got to school and started learning what I'd have to do as an astronaut, I quickly changed my mind. I've been watching a lot of police crime drama. Who remembers The Bill, Juliet Bravo? So I wanted to be a police officer at this point. And that was my direction for maybe the next 6 years of growing up. And then I got to senior school and thought, not really good with confrontation. So I don't think the police is for me, but it's a nice sort of space to be in. So sticking with that idea, I thought, forensics, that sounds cool. I'll stay in the police, but I'll go into forensics. And then I thought about what would be entitling, what would you see on a day-to-day basis as a forensic investigator? Some gruesome stuff, I think. So I went off that idea, but I'd been watching Casualty by now with my parents on a Saturday evening, and I thought, do you know what? Paramedic, that's a good career, that's a respectful career. And then I remembered the blood, which I wasn't too keen on. So by the time I got to A-levels, I'd really gotten into art, graphics, design, that sort of stuff, calmed down a bit, stopped watching as much TV, and decided that graphic designer was for me. That was age 3 to 17. So when I got to 18, in reality, what happened was none of that. I didn't get into university to do graphic design. That was my first disappointment. So I didn't go to university yet. What the reality was between the age of 18 and 24 is it was very colourful. There was lots of randomness to it, but I learned a lot of things. So this slide is some of those things in no particular order. I did some telephone sales for a newspaper. Wasn't very good at it. I worked in a warehouse that made fabric labels, card labels for clothing. I had the only computer in the entire building, and I completely changed the stock management system using Lotus Notes. And then I was made redundant. The two things aren't connected, I'm told. I worked in a supermarket kitchen, up to my armpits in potatoes and dirty pots, which was fun. The eggs are a very pertinent point of my career, because if there was an Olympic sport for stacking egg boxes, there's no way I'd be winning a medal at all. That was 6 hours. That was my shortest career. The only thing they served in the staff canteen was eggs. I worked for a very short period of time doing telephone sales for a travel agent. So if you want to quiz me on airport codes in the break, I would welcome that. And then this very last one represents buy one, get one free. Windows, doors, and conservatories. Commission only, no base pay. Get picked up in a little van every day and dropped off knocking on people's doors. I mentioned at the start I was not very good at sales. I didn't make any money doing that whatsoever. But that was fun. I got to know people. So then we get to 2001, and I get my opportunity whilst doing one of the temporary roles that I got myself into, which was a customer service role. Those of you old enough will expect some Space Odyssey music here. I didn't learn about space, but there's this thing. But I did learn about crystal reports. And I still love a good crystal report now. But I learned about SQL Server. And somebody at that organisation saw something in me, working in customer service, but really passionate about PowerPoint, Excel, those sort of nerdy stuff. So they offered me this opportunity with some training, and of course I took it willingly. That started my journey. So I'm going to try and make this as whistle-stop as possible. During the first few years after that, I learned a lot. I learned a lot of technologies. I got my first, this is an important point, I got my first IT manager role. I didn't think I was going to get it. I applied for it anyway, and I got it. And that just spurred me on to do more. So throughout that role, I learned telephony, Unix, more SQL, BlackBerry Enterprise Server, anyone? And then I got to a point in 2008 where I got a Microsoft certification. And for me, that was the first rubber stamp. I was part of something proper. You know, I was part of that technology community. I'd got a badge, I'd got a certificate. I was really proud of myself. Then we carry on. And a year later, I think, British Computer Society. That's quite a thing. My academically brilliant brother, who had gone to university, had just become a chartered engineer. So I thought, chartered IT professional, that looks good. And I framed that certificate. And for a long time, it was on my wall because, you know, he's a chartered engineer. I'm now a chartered thing, so looking up to you, big brother. So, again, I told you it was a whistle-stop tour. There's many years following that I had various jobs, learned more technologies, kept going with the education. I eventually made a move to the NHS in 2012, which was an experience all in itself. Anybody in from the NHS? Congratulations. So, budget's an issue. People are an issue in terms of not, you know, they're a problem, but the volume of people to do the things is a problem. And I learned a lot about core networking and how to make sure that things were resilient and started the real journey into security at that point. I was accepted onto like a pilot program, I suppose, where the NHS were looking at how they could get more knowledge of cyber into healthcare. And that turned on a light bulb for me. Because all the way through technology, people have been saying to me, you'll find that one thing, it's down there as well, you'll find that one thing that will really spark your interest. And I hadn't really found it. Lots of things interested me, and I'd learned lots of technologies and new stuff and cool stuff, but none of them had really gone, that's my passion, until I started learning about security. So we've got 8 more stops. Hopefully I've got time. The light bulb moment really was partly the security, that was my thing, but also I needed to speak to the board, to senior managers in a different language. So I started learning about service management and how you communicate with boards. I got my ITIL expert badge. I've got a lot of badges at home. And I started learning about some project management stuff. And then every year after that, I kept going. So that was the opportunity I got going with the NHS. I failed that exam. I was disappointed because so far, I'd done really well. I'd passed all my exams. And this point was my next failure, I suppose. So I really had to embrace what next. Am I any good at this? Imposter syndrome, everybody must have it. And then I picked myself up, and I thought, no, I really enjoy this, so I'm going to go to university at the age of 39. And so I spent every weekend in London studying with Northumbria University whilst working full-time on an NHS wage. It's not great, is it? It cost me a fortune. Whilst doing that, I got the CISO qualification because everybody was doing it, so I wanted part of that as well. That was when I got the role at ALD. So my plan was master's, 2 years, full-time job in security. That was what I wanted to do. This actually came a year early. So I was a bit sort of, ooh, what now? But I took it. I took the opportunity. There's a theme here. I then got a scholarship for the new CCNA, Certified Security Ops from Cisco. That was my next failure. I sat both courses, passed one exam, failed the next one. But I looked at what was important in life at that point, and it wasn't that route. My route was through to management. So in 2019, I did the Certified CISO qualification. What did I learn? Turns out not a lot. Turns out I already knew a lot of it anyway. So that was a real confidence boost to me. I'd gone through 2 failures decided that that was still my direction, and went on a course to teach me how to be a CISO. It didn't. But it did reassure me that the knowledge that I'd got from the rest of the journey was worthwhile, and I understood it. This is a bit of a random one. I had to sit the sort of transition exam from ITIL 3 to ITIL 4 to maintain that certification. It was something I wanted to do, but it reminded me, even though I'd gone through that entire journey, I enjoyed learning. So I signed up for an MBA. And 2 years ago, I started that journey, which I've just about finished. Whilst doing that, as if that wasn't enough, we brought back B-Sides in Bristol. And I was part of a really good team that helped to, bring that back. 2019 happened, everybody knows about the pandemic. I wanted to go to B-Sides in Bristol. It wasn't happening, so we did it. What next? Well, there's a theme. Who knows what's next, but what I felt like throughout my entire life is that I started out wanting to be an astronaut, and to be able to be a CISO, you need to continue to be curious all the time. Be curious about all the technologies, all the people, all the processes, the community. Just keep being curious. You need to explore. So explore different venues, explore different topics, explore different companies. Just keep being curious about stuff. And share that. Be part of the community. Be part of what's good about the community, and it is a good community, and share it with friends and family and anybody that will listen. And then trust. Trust in each other, trust in yourself, trust in your colleagues, trust in your team if you have one team. And that way, you will become an astronaut, a space explorer, somebody who's curious about new things. So that was my journey in a whistle stop. And the important thing is that you believe in yourself. So if anybody's got any questions, I realize that was really quick. That was probably 30 years of my life in 12 slides.
You did manage to pull back some time.
I'm rubbish at timekeeping normally, so that's good. Thank you.
Stay there. So we do have a little bit of time for questions for Hazel. And I'll ask you one, actually.
Go on.
What's your biggest lesson learned from being a CISO?
Really good question, because my biggest lesson when I started with ALD, I was my first time full-time role in security. It was what I'd wanted. It was the direction that I was going. And I went in full of enthusiasm and naivety, because not everybody was as excited about it as I was. So when I wanted to fix everything and go in and make a difference, I was super excited about it. I'd got all the opportunity and all the enthusiasm, but nobody else was interested. So my biggest learning journey has been that you have to, everybody said it, speak the language of your audience. You have to talk to the board in a way that they understand it, that it's all commercial, it's all business, with security as the backdrop, not the other way around.
Any other? Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm a massive advocate of ongoing continual learning. I think it's helped me massively on my own journey,
Yep.
similarly to yours. But there's no denying there's a mixed response to certification qualifications within the cybersecurity industry. What would you say to somebody who maybe wants to be a CISO, who's starting on that journey, seeing that toxicity around that ongoing learning?
Yeah. I think that was one of the questions that I'd hoped somebody would ask, because the answer to that is it depends. It depends on the organisation that you're in, it depends what field you're in. For me, it was getting the CISP, getting the Masters. That was a key to a door. That wasn't what gave me the role. Having the passion for a topic, to do that continual learning, and being able to communicate that, speak at a level that is not just technical and security. So, of course, the certificates will give you access, and unfortunately we live in a world that looks like that still, but your experience and the way you conduct yourself and the way that you're able to communicate certainly will give you more longevity in that role. It's just getting through the door to start with.
Any other questions for Hazel? Yes, please.
So, like, your entire background is actually based on people, not tech. A lot of it.
A lot of it, yeah.
So, like, a lot of people that are in tech roles, CISO, manager, they're like numbers, tech, all this tech. What do you think kind of the benefit of basically starting off with focusing on people, focusing on education of people, different areas of people, and merges with tech?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a number of routes that you can take to CISO, and I'll remind people that, you know, have a real question answered in your mind before you take that route as to why you want to be a CISO. Is that the role for you? Because you could be a head of, you know, incident response, security ops, pick your topic. You don't have to be a CISO. In certain organisations, because of the size of my organisation I'm in at the moment, I wouldn't fit the model of a CISO for them. So it's, you know, it's a title, but it's what you're passionate about that matters. So if you were going down the sort of people route, I think a traditional idea of a CISO is a board level position. You know, it's somebody that engages with that C-suite, the board, whatever, but it's not necessarily the same for every organisation that you're going to. So I think you need to have a clear passion yourself. And of course, any role that you get, you've got to be able to communicate. As soon as you get to a point in management or seniority, you have to be able to paint those pictures at that level. People have said it already today that, you know, you have to speak the language and take the time to learn about that. The technical stuff is great, you can teach that to anybody, but if you can't have a conversation and you can't translate that, that's going to hold you back.
Any more questions yet, Lee?
Oh no.
I'll ask a question regarding B-side.
I know nothing about American football.
So, I'm going to ask a question regarding B-sides, because I'm sure there's many people in the audience who don't know what B-sides is.
Yeah.
Why should we all get involved with B-sides? Why is it important?
Good swag? No. B-Sides is great as a community because it is absolutely non-judgmental. So everybody would get an opportunity to speak if they wanted to. And it doesn't matter your level of experience, it doesn't matter your level of technical experience or your seniority. It's an open and welcoming environment to be able to do those things in. You can access mentors, you can access people who are experienced or higher up, or, you know, sort of job routes that you might want to take. It's a real community feel, and it is, you know, generally quite cheap. It's not for profit. There's some great sponsors there as well. So, you know, getting involved with that, and they're not just B-Sides Bristol, but it is obviously the best one. Bristol. It will give you that support network as well. So if you want to come and talk to somebody, you know, they're there available for you. It is a really welcoming environment to be in.
Anyone else?
Was that a planted question?
Any other questions for Hazel? Okay, well, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Hazel. Thank you.